Hello!
I just got hold of an action figure I have wanted for years, and I must say, from my point of view, it is a particularly fine example of one. But before I show it to you, I must show you another figure by way of background. Presenting the Baroness from Hasbro's G.I. Joe line from 1984, when the line was first becoming popular and that. She is a member of the evil terrorist organisation Cobra. Grrr. That's what terrorists say. If you ever see one in the street, you'll know if they're a terrorist by the way they go grrr. Honestly, it's how the FBI do it. Anyway, this was always a figure I quite liked, mainly because at the time, sort of figures of female characters tend to be a bit poo. They often had sort of weird skimpy armour and giant breasts and stuff, whereas she just really looks like she means business. She looks like she knows what she's doing and has no compassion at all, which is kind of what you want from your enemies in things. Well, not in real life so much, but it's good in fiction. Yeah, and she's sort of more practically dressed and attired with sort of big glasses and that kind of stuff. I've just realised actually in later years that actually the breastplate with moulded breasts is of course immensely impractical, because any sort of impact would basically have all the force pushed directly into a sternum, which is why in real life you don't tend to have breastplates that shaped. Also, breastplates are generally quite outdated. If you are in an army and they're issuing you with breastplates, you probably want to be joining a different army. Anyway, I digress. Yes, it's a bloody good figure. It's got all the G.I. Joe articulation of the time. Hasn't got the nodding head. They added that a few years later. But it's a damn fine figure and one of my favouritists ever in its way, although it is let down slightly by the crap gun she comes with, some sort of giant laser rifle. And some of the other Cobra figures came with, well, more realistic weapons like AK-47s and Dragunov sniper rifles and that, and she's got sort of silly giant laser rifle, which also doesn't really fit the character. Surely she'd have some sort of submachine gun or something smaller, something a little bit elegant, not giant square gun from out of Buck Rogers' bumhole. Anyway, we must now fast forward in time to sort of early mid-90s, and Fun School, an Indian company, was given a license to make G.I. Joe figures, and indeed they did, and released them in India, etc., etc. They made them out of slightly lower quality plastic and released some different figures. They also released a really crazy repaint that was literally Superman. They just made a sort of fake Superman figure and sold it, and it is probably highly prized by collectors. I've never even seen one, so I imagine they're fairly rare. Anyway, fast forward a bit again to 2002, and old Fun School decided to produce some more figures, but they give them away with toothpaste, specifically Pepsodent. Which I think used to be sold in the UK. Actually, it must be, because my aunt used to sing a song, I wonder where the yellow went when you brushed your teeth with Pepsodent. So therefore she probably wouldn't have known that song if it wasn't advertised on telly in the UK. Hey, look at that, we worked something out through oral history, now we're all sociologists. Anyway, yes, indeed, with the Pepsodent toothpaste you got a free G.I. Joe figure. What more could anyone ask for? But of course they made them a bit cheaper than they did in the 90s. They still made them out of this sort of cheaper plastic, but also they massively limited the articulation. And for figures with parts that stuck on, which is basically just the Baroness, because most G.I. Joe figures didn't have a wig to put on, their quality control was a little bit on the variable side, he said as euphemism of the month. Some of them looked all right, but I went on eBay and managed to get this one. Just to let that sink in for a second. Articulation, the legs isn't bad. They move forward, there's no leg movement, there's a little bit to the sides. The arms are permanently locked in this bizarre C-3PO position. R2-D2, where are you? Why am I part of a drag act now? I have no idea. Maybe it is literally C-3PO trying to fit in as a human female, but it's not really working. The actual sort of moulding quality isn't bad. The plastic's not as high quality as we said, but it's got most of the detail, and the clasps at the top are a bit dodgy. In fact, they're so different, I do wonder if it's a different mould. But, you know, it's the face area where they did skimp a little bit, shall we say. She appears to have half wiped her lipstick off, her glasses are moulding away, her eyes are frankly frightening, and the less said about the wig, the better. It appears to have actually flown off and is now trying to escape and climb up the walls or something. But do you know why I really love this? Because the character here is not actually the Baroness. It's another figure that Hasbro had come up with years before, I believe, called Chameleon, who is like basically the Baroness's half-sister, who, yeah, wait for it, this is such a comic book storyline, who has special plastic surgery to look exactly like her, and then she mimics her, and then takes her place in Cobra Command and spies for the good guy G.I. Joe people. So this isn't the Baroness, this is something designed to take the place of the Baroness and fool people into thinking it's the Baroness, but it just looks like they got a shop dummy and stuck a wig on it badly, slathered on some lipstick and stuck it in there, and apparently she managed to convince them.
Ah, Baroness, you've been very quiet recently. Is it something I said? I didn't touch her! I didn't touch her!
So there we go, almost certainly one of the finest figures ever made. Pepsodent Chameleon, we salute thee. You know, I think I want this face on a t-shirt with no explanation at all.
Subscribe for more.
There's my new wallpaper.